Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Now, biologicals, they've been used for a long time to control predatory bugs in plant material, both on farms and in greenhouses, but mainly started out in greenhouses. But they are moving out into field crops, and Tigchelaar Farms here in Niagara is one of the many Canadian horticultural and operations that are starting to use these type of controls for the predatory or the bad bugs, okay? Now, what they've been doing is they've been using biologicals for about 5 seasons now, and they're trying to control thrips. Now, thrips are really a problem in ever-bearing strawberries, and so their operations in Jordan and Vineland have been using them very heavily. What this does is it allows another insect to attack the bad insect. So, good insects. So when you get things and you see bugs in your garden, they're not always the bad ones. So, but you can't go and put a bug in unless there is a problem, because obviously they need something to eat. So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to throw in this type of control or that type of control unless there is a need. So monitoring is very, very important. And what they did was they went to Plant Products and they got recommended to use the orris, which is a minute pirate bug, and they deliver that in bottles, and also to use cucumberous mites, which are delivered in paper bags. Now, the orris targets all stages of thrips, from the larva to the adult, which is great because it doesn't really matter when or what stage they're at, they go after them. The cucumberous is going to go mainly after the egg and larva stages. So therefore, you can get that one egg started as well as the larva. So both work really well together. And controlling them, it's not perfect, of course. You can only eat so many, but it does help an awful lot. The host plants for orris is recommended as being sweet alyssum. Now, you know sweet alyssum, everybody grows it, but also the ornamental peppers. Both of these plants are put into the headlands and on the outskirts of the fields. And what this does is it gives them a plant that these good predatory bugs like to live on, and of course they're a host. So you need to use some of your space on your fields for the proper barriers or plants that will attract and keep the predatory insects in the area. And for these two particular bugs, the alyssum and the ornamental peppers work really quite well. The orris is more likely to be found on the alyssum early in the season, and that's when the thrip control is the most important, so they are using that one more extensively than the ornamental pepper. For control of the spotted wing Drosophila, this is they find they have to use a conventional insecticide spray, even though they're using the biologicals. But they have to be able to use a spray, an insecticide, that doesn't really take out a lot of the good predatory bugs. So it has to be a bio-friendly chemical. And they do spray with that one. So if you see them spraying, you know that they're actually using something that doesn't wipe out all of the biologicals. It does have an effect on them, and their numbers are greatly reduced, but they do come back. So it's a matter of using a balance and, again, regulatory control, and you've got to do your timing correct. This makes it a little more work, it makes it a little harder, but you're getting, let's just say, a better crop with much less insecticides used. Therefore, they continue to use the biologicals, and as well as the occasional spray. Now, therefore, it's a little more expensive to actually grow the ever-bearing strawberries where they use the biologicals, simply because A, they're still spraying, B, they're also using biologicals. So, the Orris and the cucumberous predatory insects also eat aphids, so that's a good thing too. Because aphids are sucking insects, they will spread disease, and that's something you don't really want to do. Some years are worse for leafhoppers and other insects. They don't really have an effect on the leafhoppers are not controlled by the Orris like they go after the thrips. So they have to do a little bit of a control. And what they did was they used both chemical and biological solutions. So Tigchelaar's used phalanxes mite in July for control of spider mite and cyclamen mite. That helps an awful lot. And if you've ever grown African violets, you will understand what I'm talking about. It's hard to control them, particularly in a plant that has hairs on its leaves. So, now they will find that the insects have to be controlled in order to get a good crop. The other insect that goes after this is the plant tarnish bug or tarnished plant bug. This one not only does a great job of eating the plants, but also you'll find that it overwinters. So they have greater problems with controlling it. What they have found in Europe is that the sunflowers actually do a nice job of controlling the tarnished plant bug. So what they have done in several places is they're trying 3 of the conventional sunflower varieties, and they put them in the strawberry fields as surrounding the whole field, and they're also intercropping them. In other words, they're using the dwarf varieties of sunflowers to actually help control the plant tarnish bug, because the plant tarnish bug likes the sunflowers better. They are also using traps that have a concentrated oils from the sunflower in them, and this trap actually does also bring in some of the adults, etc. So to control all of this in strawberries and the ever-bearing strawberries is a problem. It's more expensive, but it is reducing the insecticides used, because you got to remember farmers still have a lot of access to a lot of the insecticides that we do not have. So what they're going to do is continue to stress and work with these different biological controls. And I really like the sunflower ones because, hey, it's kind of cool to have sunflowers growing in the middle of a growing field of strawberries. And I think if they really wanted to, they could occasionally cut a few maybe for themselves for the table as well, particularly if they're the dwarf varieties. They're nice and easy to cut. Now, the other thing that is being used in biological controls, just to give you an update, these are not being used for control of a crop where we're eating it, but we're looking at lily beetles. Lily leaf beetles have been a real problem for quite a while in Canada, in Ontario, and there is a parasitic wasp that is Tetrastrictus, and it has been released in the Ottawa area through Carleton University, and the wasp, which originally comes from Europe, controls the lily leaf beetle. It goes after all the Asiatic lilies and their varieties, so it kills the leaf beetle larvae. So that's excellent. They're the ones that really do get rid of those, and they won't become the adults which cause such great damage. It means that in Ontario, in the Ottawa area, people can start now growing Asiatic lilies and lilies that have been crossed with Asiatics in basically the whole Ottawa area. Now, that being said, they are being also released across Canada in different areas as to help control, because these are where the leaf beetle has actually taken over. So you're going to have areas in Ontario, Quebec, Manitoba, and Alberta where you can actually have this already released as well. So, just so you know, the use of biologicals and their control. Now, if we could only find something that would control Phragmites and the Lythrum, the wild Lythrum, we'd be doing quite well in Ontario. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.